follower of Jesus Christ? Are you sold out for the gospel? Is he the very air you breathe? I used to think that I was, but when I took a hard look at my life, I realized that I wasn't. The Lord brought me out of addiction. He brought me out of mental illness. He's brought me out of so many things, but I never really felt like I was sold out for him. And I just wanted to take this time to introduce myself and get to know each and every one of you. Hi, my name is Jacob, and I've worked as a missionary, pastor, teacher, preacher of the Bible, prophetic voice for around 10 years in Mexico and in the United States. The story that comes to mind when I think about myself, my testimony, is I remember a few years ago, it was about, I believe actually it was in 2016, I was going to a conference called Azusa Now. And yeah, I was going to this conference, Azusa Now, and I remember there were so many crazy things that happened. There was worship, there was spiritual leaders and really pillars in the faith. Even there was a moment where we were singing all together in the stadium, about 50,000 people, Let It Rain, and the rain actually started in that moment. It was just this crazy experience. But that was not the thing that really grabbed me. It wasn't the leaders, it wasn't the music. I remember a very specific moment where this woman came up, and she was a young lady, and she just was speaking, and she said, "There's a 20-year-old here that the Lord is calling to be sold out for Jesus. That the Lord is calling him to have radical faith and radical obedience." And when she was speaking, I just felt this overwhelming conviction in me that the Lord was calling me to missions. The Lord was calling me to be a radical voice for my generation and just to speak truth and to share the gospel. And in that moment, I made a decision. I really felt that I needed to be sold out for the Lamb. I left my job. I left where I was living. I moved to Mexico. I joined YWAM and became just a radical missionary that followed Jesus wherever he led. And from that moment on, my life was just completely transformed and changed. And I really, in that season of growing and learning more about him, I felt this call from the Lord. I felt this thing that I needed to help people come to the tree of life. I needed to be the person that took people's hand and helped them walk and brought them to the tree of life, to Jesus, to deeper intimacy, to knowing him more. And it wasn't the impressive speakers, it wasn't the worship, it wasn't any of those things. It was this one woman that spoke, and I really just felt the words from this young woman were coming from Jesus. And from that moment, I moved to Mexico. I quit my job, and I started living a radical life of obedience, just sold out for the Lamb, just sold out for God. And my heart for this channel, my heart for this project is just to really take people's hands and bring them to the Lamb, bring them to the tree of life, show them who Jesus is, help them walk in intimacy, help them know him more, and just to speak the words of truth. That's really the purpose of this channel. That's really the purpose of this time, and really just wanting to share what I've learned and bring people closer to Jesus, bring people to the tree of life, which is Jesus.